Hi, welcome back. The Valentine's Day vibes are here. So we are going to be playing with mostly pink makeup to show you some options on how to create makeup looks for Valentine's Day that kind of fall in those fun romantic vibes with the colors of the festivities. So we're gonna be mostly working with pinks, purples, and reds. I hope that you can get maybe some ideas whether you are celebrating Valentine's Day with a significant other or with your girlfriends, or you have a mommy child date or a date with yourself. Maybe you're gonna take yourself out to lunch or just eat a bag of chocolates by yourself in front of the TV. Anything goes. Everything is fine. So yeah, we're just gonna be playing with some pink and purple and red makeup to show you some options for Valentine's Day makeup, whether you wanna go a little bit more elaborate or you want some simple ideas because you got last minute plans, or maybe you're just not feeling your best, you don't wanna do a lot of makeup, but you still wanna wear something cute and romantic. So I hope that this video is helpful to you, and I'm gonna show you how I created these two looks, two more simpler looks, and then we're gonna finish with an all red look. So we're gonna go red eyes, red cheeks, red lips, if you wanna try a monochromatic makeup option for Valentine's Day. If this is your first time here, I hope you have fun with this one and you will consider subscribing to follow along with more of my makeup shenanigans. Let's get started. Before we get started, I'm just gonna tell you very briefly what's on my face because my face, cheeks, and brows are already done. For my foundation, I'm using the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation, which is my go-to when I want a more natural, radiant look, medium coverage, but my skin still seeps through. You can see my glasses marks over there. I use the shade Joaquin. Concealer, I am using my favorite, the Hourglass Vanish Concealer. This is the shade Flax. For powders, I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush setting powder in shade Tan under my eyes. We are right at the end over here. And for the whole face, I'm using the e.l.f. Halo Glow setting powder in the shade Medium Beige. You can kind of see the color over here. What else do I have on? Brows, I'm using the Foolproof Brow Powder from Benefit. I know that they don't make these like 2-shade compacts anymore, but the product is still available just in one shade. We're getting real deep in here. Look at those pans. Love that for me. And then on the cheeks, I have what I call my base brush because it's very, very subtle. So for some of the other looks, we'll build from here. It's the Tower 28 Beach Please Cream Blush in Magic Hour. We are right at the edge of it here. This is a scraping situation. So I expect to finish this in the next couple of days. So I figured that we would start easy and just do a one and done shadow look with the Love palette first. Don't worry, my hair will improve later on, I promise. But I figured that we could start with just something really, really easy, one and done, sparkly. If you have last minute plans, something comes up. So I'm just gonna be applying 2 of the shimmers in my eyelids so that you can see what they look like. I do recommend using maybe some adhesive because some of these shimmers are quite flaky. So if you wanna avoid fallout, I would say maybe use a little bit of glitter glue. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna be using the Pat McGrath Artistry pen. Intensifies Artistry wand for my glue. This is the glue that I have, but of course any other glue works. So I'm just gonna put some on my finger so I can get the adhesive on. There it is. And then I'm gonna start with the shade Transparent, this one over here. And then I'm just going to tap that on my eyelid. No primer, nothing, because this is like the, oh my God, let's go get brunch with my girlfriends kind of look, like easy, or well, I just want to have something a little bit on, but not a super structured look, and I just want some sparkle in my eyelid. There it is. I took it all the way up. If you want to avoid kind of that crease that I have in my eyelid, I would say maybe add an eyeshadow primer. But I mean, I'm 38, so, and the eyes fold, so it is what it is. But that's gonna be that. And then on my other eye, let me just apply glue first. I'm gonna go with a color that has a little bit more pigment. I'm gonna go with the shade Pure Love. And then I'm just gonna tap it on the lid, same thing. So these are two one and done options that you can use the Love palette for, whether you want a more light and ethereal one and done, or you want a more pigmented one and done. If you want to clean that up a little bit on the edges, then I would use a brush. I'm using one on this side because these shadows that have more pigment can get a little bit more messy. See, that gives a little bit more structure and just diffuses the pigment from the top. So yeah, it's a one and done, but it's an eye with a little bit of structure. So this is the look for that eye, and this is the look for that eye. For reference, this is the shade Transparent in the Love palette, and this is the shade Pure Love in the Love palette. And that would be like two looks doing the least with the Love palette. Just two shades. Here are the shades again. This I applied rather heavily, I would say. So you can go a lot thinner on this if you want, but since my eyes are a little darker, I do want the shimmer to come through, but this would be like two looks doing the least. Then I would just add mascara on top of that, and that would be pretty much the end of it. So I'm gonna add mascara for the full effect. I'm gonna be using my Givenchy Volume Disturbia, which I love and haven't been using very much lately. But it is such a great mascara, and I'm really not sure why nobody mentions it. Maybe because it's like an older product. Maybe that's why, but it is so good. Look at that. You do one coat and it's bam, lashes. See? Bam, lashes. I'm gonna do a little messy on the lower lash line, but I actually think that this wand is not bad for the lower lash line. It's a wand that gives you a lot more volume than you think it's going to. But there are the two looks. If you want it to be doing the least, one and done, here with the shade Transparent in the Love palette, and here with the shade Pure Love on the Love palette. We are gonna do basically one look playing with the pinks and one look playing with the purples. So we're gonna start with the pinks on this side and the purples on this side. For the sake of changing it up blush wise, I'm gonna add a little bit more pink blush on this side and a more mauvey blush on this side. So on this side, I'm gonna add the LYS Higher Standard Satin Matte Cream Blush in the shade Self Love Shimmer. So as you can see, it's not entirely pink. It has a little bit more pigment, and these blushes do carry a bit of pigment. So bear that in mind. They do build pretty well. I do find that the formula is a little bit more stiff than other cream blushes that I've tried in the past. So that's gonna be that side. And then for this other side, we are going to just add a little bit of the Tower 28 Beach Please in Happy Hour. So slightly more vivid pink. And let's see how that looks for the pinks and the purples. I actually have a purple blush that maybe we can play with later so that you can see what it looks like. This one is definitely a more vivid pink than the other one, than what I have on the other side. So what we're gonna do is just go like full-fledged pink on this side and then purple, but with a little bit of pink on this side. So first off, let's, am I gonna go with eyeshadow primer or no? I'm not gonna use eyeshadow primer. I'm gonna trust my, eyeshadows and hope for the best. So I just have just what was left in my brush for my Hourglass concealer in my eyes, and really that's the only eye prep that I have. Let's take a fluffy brush like this one. This is the Refer 16, and use the shade Valentine, haha, as a transition / base shade on this side. So you want to take it kind of high up and just lay that base. It's going to be pretty light on this side, but that's exactly what's supposed to happen. And again, if you want more pigment payoff, of course, then use an eyeshadow primer. Usually you can get pretty good color payoff from these pastels from Natasha Denona. I feel like the sunlight is kind of washing it off in my eye right now, but that's okay. I'm also going to mix a little bit of the shade Intense just so that the transition in the eyelid, there we go, really looks pink, which is really what I want. But even then, like, the goal is to make just a more smoky pink, still kind of soft romantic look. That's really what we're going for here. I'm not a makeup artist, so if you are here for technique, I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. I'm not a technique person. But hopefully you can get maybe some ideas on how to mix color and maybe utilize your Love palette if it's been like falling by the wayside, or if you only use it on Valentine's Day. All right, let's move to the crease, and we're gonna be using kind of a mix of the shades Soul and Heartbeat. So I'm gonna use Soul for the crease, and I'm gonna be using the same brush because, yeah. So yeah, Soul is just gonna go on the crease. And this is gonna be a more of a mauvey pink look because the pinks here are not like true pinks. Some of them are like pink mauves. Okay, the sun died a little bit, so I think the color is coming through a little bit more. The sun's behind a cloud right now. That helps. I think that now you can see the colors a little bit more clearly. And then I'm gonna use an angled brush, not an angled brush, sorry. One of these like more flat brushes. This is a Sephora shadow brush. It doesn't have a number, but it's one of these like flat brushes. In Spanish, people call them lengua de gato, like cat tongue. And I'm gonna use the shade Heartbeat, this one, just to deepen the outer corner a tiny bit, like so. And then I'm gonna bring it up just on the outer V on the crease to create a tiny bit more depth. And when I'm done, I'm gonna run these same colors through the lower lash line. Okay, that's good. I'm just gonna use Heartbeat in the outer corner here to tie everything together. Da da da. And then I'm gonna use Soul a little bit closer here to the tear duct. Just like that. Right here. So I don't want the lower lash line to go like crazy deep. There we go. If you wanted to leave the look like this, if you're like an all matte girly, first of all, good for you. Second of all, if you wanted to leave the look like this, I think that looks very pretty. You could deepen a little bit the outer corner, like a little bit more, or maybe bring it a little bit further into the crease if you want a little bit more smokiness. But I actually think that as an all matte look, that looks really pretty. And then you just diffuse those lines a little bit with the same brush that you use for the lighter transition shades. And as an all matte look, I think that looks very pretty. You still get a little bit of dead, but it's soft pink. Not like super bubblegum pink, but still with those pinks that we want, that we love. Now, for the pinks, for pink shimmers here, I'm gonna be using the shade Giving, which is a more sparkly, more bubbly pink. So I'm just gonna take it right here from the inner corner to kind of the middle of the eye. And I'm applying with my finger. Again, beware fallout with this palette. Sometimes it does give a bit of fallout, so just be mindful. And then it's up to you. If you want, you could add maybe a little bit of the shade Passion in the outer corner. I'm actually gonna do that for the sake of just adding a little bit more depth here. If you wanted to do that, you could. And then again, I'm gonna use that same brush that I use with my transition shades just to blend that a little bit over here. And that's it. I'm gonna actually use that shade Giving again in the brow bone. Because it is a brighter pink. Just like that. And then I'm gonna use the shade Lifetime because it also has a little bit of pink as my inner corner highlight. Ooh, I took a lot of shadow there, holy cow. Fun fact, since we're talking about Valentine's Day and everything, I actually don't celebrate Valentine's Day. I stopped celebrating Valentine's Day when I got married. Why? I don't know. There's really no reason to it. Like if someone gives us candy or chocolate, sure. But like we're not, like my husband and I, we don't buy each other presents or anything like that. We don't really do anything for Valentine's Day, but not because we're hating on the holiday or anything. We just don't. Honestly, we just don't. I'm gonna refresh my mascara. I'm just gonna do another coat of the Volume Disturbia by Givenchy, just to make sure that those lashes are very well defined. And then on the lower lash line, I'm going to do a very, very thin trace of Urban Decay Perversion, just to tighten up that lower lash line. But really, that waterline, really you don't have to do this. But that's just me because I really like a very outlined eye because I wear glasses and my eyes kind of get lost behind them. If you want to tight line the top, you also can. This is a messy process for me. Okay. Yeah, of course, eyeliner is something that you should do before mascara. Don't be a crazy person like me. Let me just brush those lashes one more time to make sure that they're not clumpy. I don't always look like this when I'm applying mascara. I do all the crazy faces, okay? Let's just establish that. And here's a completed look. It's actually a lot smokier than I anticipated, but I think it looks very pretty. So this is gonna be kind of like my first look with multiple shades, the more pink-based look with the Natasha Denona Love palette. Here you go. Okay, let's move on to look number 2. And for look number 2, we're gonna be working more heavily with the purples. So we're gonna have to tread lightly here to make sure that we don't go super crazy in terms of depth, but maybe we wanna go super crazy in terms of depth, who knows, whatever. So I'm gonna start by using the shade Dream, which is a cream to powder. These are more consistent cream to powders from Natasha Denona than what we found. Oh, I said that I was gonna use an eyeshadow primer. Rats. Okay, scratch that. Let's use the eyeshadow primer. If I can find it, here it is. Okay, so I'm actually gonna start over. Remove that bit of eyeshadow that I applied. Okay, I think this is gonna be saved. Okay, so I'm gonna be using the Kaleidos Tone Activator. Oops. And I'm gonna lay a thin layer, as thin as I can here. This is actually kind of, it provides like more color to the base than I would prefer. I'm just using a concealer brush from Luxie Beauty here, but I'm trying to spread it as thin as I can because I don't really want it to give me a very colored like base. I want the base to stay as neutral as possible. But I do think that is gonna help with those purples, especially because I'm using a cream to powder, and in my experience with Natasha Denona cream to powders, they work better if they have an eyeshadow primer to help them out here. They need like a scaffolding, and that's where the eyeshadow primer comes in. I feel like this is already better. Okay. There we go. Okay, again, we're using the shade Dream as a transition shade. And see here, the eyeshadow primer and the fact that it actually has some base is helping me out because it's keeping this purple from going crazy dark on me. There we go. Okay. Just a little bit more to make sure that the purple is as even as possible. La-di-da. I could have used Trust as well. So I would say either Dream or Trust. Look how crumbly that's getting. I feel like that cream to powder might be drying down a little bit, but that's a problem for another day. I'm going to take Trust now from the top for my crease to add another shade of purple, another dimension of purple, so that it's not as monochromatic. There we go. I'm honestly just using right now, I'm using Senor Scratchy. If you've been here before, you know that Senor Scratchy is this ABH brush, double-ended brush that comes with like all their palettes. It's not very good, but I don't know. I feel like it actually blends kind of well. It's not as scratchy as it usually is today, so I'm gonna take advantage of that. It came with my Jackie Aina palette, which is the only ABH palette that I own. Let's take Commitment to deepen the outer corner, the outer V. Oh, wow, look at that. So Commitment is kind of like that eggplant purple, which I love. I love an eggplant purple on eyeliner. Check it out. See, like that gives you, ooh, vavoom, right away. I might need to sharpen that V a little bit. And then we're gonna take that same shade to tie up the outer corner. Look at that, woo. This is like third day makeup. If you know what I mean, this is third day makeup because it's like the more smoky, sultry kind of eyes, but we'll play with some of the purples and soften this up a tiny bit. It's not gonna be as dark. It's not gonna stay like this, don't worry. If you are intimidated by like this much depth, it's not gonna stay like this. So no, don't fear. We're gonna use first on top just to kind of diffuse those lines a little bit and yeah, calm things a little bit on the brow bone. Make sure that we are not putting sparkles in the brow bone on top of purple, right? Just like this. I do almost everything with like fluffy brushes, so I try to have a few, at least a few at a time that are clean. See, and you go with using like kind of that lid setting shade, like a lighter shade, you are able to just kind of diffuse those colors and make the make that deeper color like not so stark and just build yourself some space in the brow bone. So that's always nice in my opinion. All right, we are going to use let's see, we're gonna use Blind in just the inner corner of the eye to open things up a little bit, which is this very nice silver. Really not a shabby silver in my opinion. And then we're gonna finish up with Pure Love, which is this purpley pink that has quite a bit of blue for the middle. Over here to blend things up a little bit. Kind of open up that silver in a bit of a V, like that. Clean edges, cleaner edges. Okay. Yeah. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna take transparent and plop it in the brow bone and the inner corner. Just like that, just a little bit of light over there. So that's one of the nice things about this palette is that you pretty much get all the shades that you need for different looks. Sometimes you have that problem of like, oh, this palette doesn't have an inner corner highlight, or it doesn't have a light enough transition shade, or it doesn't have a lid setting shade, and then you have to like go into other things, which sometimes is kind of a drag. But this one, like you can pretty much work with the palette by itself and then just, you know, be happy. For this one, I'm actually gonna use the Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal eyeliner in Ash to tighten the wider line. Whoa. I should have sharpened this before doing this video. There you go. Look, see, like it adds a lot of smoke. If you want to smudge it, you can use the smudgy kind of end. I'm actually going to do that more in the upper lash line. So I'm just going to go, yeah, tight line a tiny bit over here. And then I'm gonna take the smudgy side and just kind of run it so that I can extend it just a little bit. There we go. We're gonna refresh the mascara on this side. Do. Strongly encourage you to try the Givenchy mascara. I really like it. Okay. And here is the purple look. Again, pretty simple, not too shimmery, not too sparkly, but just maximizing the use of the purples with just a hint of pink. I'm actually gonna pop a little bit more of Pure Love over here. Yep. In the center of the lid. There we go. So you're getting a little bit of pink, but it's not primarily pink. And if you want a really smoky look that is a little bit darker, I can see this going really well with like a navy blue or a black outfit. But here is option number 2, more purple base from the Natasha Denona Love palette for your consideration from this non-expert. So here's option 1, pink based. Option 2, purple based. Let's do the most here and add a little bit of highlighter on this side. Actually, we're gonna add highlighter on both sides. So for the pink side, I'm gonna be using the Pat McGrath Divine Rose Skin Fetish Ultra Glow Highlighter in the shade Divine Rose. I'm gonna be using a fan brush. This is the Refer 20. Let me point out something. This is a baked highlighter. You know that baked products usually have a dome? There's no dome here, okay? See, no dome, because I love this highlighter. Charlotte Holcroft does not lead you astray. When she tells you that something is beautiful, it's because something is beautiful. And she's been going on and on about this highlighter for years. So I waited for a restock for a really long time because this is, I think this is a limited edition highlighter. I don't really know. See, it's a lot more subdued than what you would normally get. So if you want to go soft and romantic with your highlighter, very much that glow from within thing, then this is a great highlighter for that. And I mean, the pink packaging is pretty cute. Let's be honest. It's pretty cute. For this side, we're going to go a little bit more intense and use the Kaleidos Space Age highlighter in Star Surfer. Which is a pretty pink highlighter. Tread lightly with these because they can be pretty intense. But what I've found in my experience is that, you know, when I first bought these, I thought like, oh my God, these are gonna be crazy intense. I'm just gonna look like a vixen from space all the time, but just pack it lightly on your brush and you will be fine. But if you want intense vixen from space, you're gonna get intense vixen from space because that's what these highlighters are made for. So like that's the whole point, is to go ham. Look at that. And there it is with the Space Age highlighter in Star Surfer. One of the things that kind of surprises me about these highlighters as I use them more and more is that I feel like the effect can be very like glass skin, which I like. This is, for the record, for reference, this is a Real Techniques setting brush. It's supposed to be a setting brush. I've never used it as a setting brush. I use it for highlighter and highlighter only, pretty much. There we go, that's better. Now we have some highlighter options here, and I think that those tie the look together. We're not going for lip products in this particular look, but I would say maybe a stronger pink like the Charlotte Tilbury Walk of No Shame. So we're actually gonna try that right now. So you could do something like this, which is a little bit of a stronger lip. And if you wanna kind of calm it down a little bit, you can use a lip oil like the e.l.f. Glow Reviver lip oils. This is the wrong shade that I'm using right now. I should be using maybe like a clear or maybe just pink quartz. But I actually think this doesn't look bad. You could also try Pillow Talk Medium, which is a more pinky nude. This is actually kind of a strong lip for this, but I'm gonna go with it because why not? I think it goes more with the pink look than with the purple look. So with the purple look, I actually think that maybe a lip like the Rare Beauty Courage with my Lethal Cosmetics Nexus Gloss would be much better. Okay, let's move on to our next look where we're gonna be trying a monochromatic red look. And let me just preface this by saying that I understand that red all over your face can sound like a really daunting thing, but we're gonna try to make it as non-scary as possible and as wearable as possible. So I understand that, for example, for someone that is much paler than me, red is gonna be a little bit more of a challenge. So you have to kind of keep that in mind. But for someone on my skin tone, reds work really, really well. So we're just gonna give it a go. I did prep my lids with a tiny bit of Kaleidos Tone Activator. And we're gonna be using the red-ish color that we have on the Love palette, which is the shade Heart. And, you know, again, same thing. We're just gonna spread that all over the lid. But we're gonna kind of thin it out a bit. So we're not looking for full opacity. We're just looking for a base with some red, if that makes sense. There we go. Yeah, just a base with some red. But this is pretty much where we're gonna leave it. It's not gonna be crazy. I would say that this is more of a berry. Like, it gives me kind of raspberry vibes. I'm using Refer 14 for reference. Next eye. I'm not doing a very good job at applying this. This second eye is applying a little bit patchy. My apologies. But I'm just trying to do a rather thin layer that is a tiny bit translucent. Not super intense. I'm getting sun glare right now, so it's hard for me to tell whether the two eyes are even in terms of coating, in terms of application. So if one looks a little bit more opaque than the other, it's because I'm using sunlight to film today. So things get a little uneven sometimes. So for the sake of making sure that the colors are coming through, I might actually go a little bit more intense than I intended. There we go. Okay, this is it. You have a base. You have red makeup in your eyes, on your eyes, not in your eyes. Please don't put red makeup inside your eyes. And there it is. If you wanted to go all matte, honestly, this is a very pretty one and done. Just berry. Good. I think that's great. But I like to be extra, and we're gonna make it a little bit redder. So we're gonna be using this red shade from this Pat McGrath Blitz Astro Quad. I think this is the Blitz Astro Quad that came out with the Bronze Seduction palettes with Mothership 5. So we're gonna use this one. This is like the Blitz Astro formula. So these are all special shades, and this is much more of a burgundy red on the lid. I don't really know how to call this in English. In Spanish, it's called párpado móvil. So like the part of your eyelid that moves. Is there an actual name for this in English? Please tell me. I've been learning English since I was 6, and there are still words that I don't know. Sometimes it's like, how do I not know this? But hey, I mean, it's a language with a ton of words, so it's not possible to like know them all. It just isn't. So I personally like to pack up special shades because this is where I want color payoff. Like, this is where I want full opacity. There, that's it, that's the look. It's not that deep, like it's not that intense, okay? It's literally 2 shades because we are simple people over here, okay? We are simple people. I'm gonna use, you know, that same Refer 14 to clean things up a little bit and diffuse up there, but that's gonna be pretty much it, okay? As you can see, I have a little bit of eyeliner on my lower lash lines. It's the Victoria Beckham in Ash, and I'm actually gonna take the opportunity to apply a little bit more and smudge. Ugh. Just smudge it a little bit so that you can create a slightly messier lower lash line, which I think goes well with this look. So if you were doing like a fun activity like a concert, or maybe like going out for like a game, going bowling, or like if you are going out with a group of friends for Valentine's, then I think that this would be a really cool look to go for. If you wanted to go smokier, then you go on the upper lash line and again smudge if you want to go a little bit darker and give witchy vibes, which we're always for over here. Love me some witchy vibes. I really need to sharpen this, oh my gosh. But yeah, so the purpose of this line up here, since you're gonna smudge it, it doesn't have to be super tidy, because you're just gonna take the end of your eye pencil anyway and smudge it as close to the lashes as you can. Ah! I think I took a piece of my eyeliner off. See, it's supposed to be a little bit messy. It's supposed to be a little bit messy. I just like to make sure that the mascara doesn't look clumpy. Volume Disturbia by Givenchy. Packaging, I love it. Okay, let's go with cheeks. We're gonna be using the e.l.f. Putty Blush in the shade Fiji. Again, kind of those same shades of red. And I like to apply this blush with a kind of a fluffier brush. I'm gonna use Rephr 05. This is a cream to powder blush, so you can kind of sheer it out as much as you want. But here, like, we really want the reds to show, so we are going for a little bit of intensity. You could also use something like the Glossier Cloud Paint for this if you prefer to use a liquid formula. But I usually wear the Cloud Paint when I'm also wearing bronzer, because then I take the same bronzer blush and apply it with that. But I'm not wearing bronzer for these looks because I just don't feel like it. You could, absolutely, you could bronze, and I actually think that some contouring with this look could be really good, but I just want you to see like the color all together in the different parts of your face, if that makes sense. Not so much like a super completed look. But I would go, in this case, yeah, for a bronzer that is not too terribly warm, because you're wearing red, you don't want a bronzer that is too orangey. Be careful with that. That's my opinion. So I would go with kind of like a more neutral bronze, or I would go with a contour shade. There's the blush. e.l.f. Putty Blush in Fiji. Fiji? Fiji or Fuji? Fiji. Okay, Fiji. I think I have a hair from the brush here. Rats. I like to diffuse this one kind of a bit and just make sure that it's not patchy. But because this formula is also a little bit stiff, it takes a little bit of blending. I mean, it can take a few layers. And you can go pretty red if you want to do the most, which we're doing for the purposes of the video, because again, the natural light is washing the color a little bit. So I just have to be mindful of that. And I will set this with powder. So if you see that, for example, this side is a little bit intense, don't worry, that will calm down with powder in just a minute. Let's do that real quick. Sorry, I'm just trying to locate in the mess that I have in front of me my LYS powder, but I can't see it. So I think I actually left it in my bathroom. It's not in my filming room. So we're just gonna take a smaller brush. This is the Luxie 40 Pro Precision Tapered. Tap a tiny bit of the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder and then just run it through the blush to diffuse those lines. Just like that. And it serves the double purpose of setting the blush and also kind of calming the color down a little bit if you feel like you've gone too intense and you're afraid that you look like Heidi the Swiss girl from the children's book. Does anybody actually know that book, the Joanna Spyri novel, Heidi? Please tell me in the comments if you've ever read that book. We used to watch like the cartoons and the movie all the time when I was a kid and read the book and whatever. Heidi was like this orphan girl who lived with her grandfather, and then she's sent off to some house with a governess or something, whatever. Anyways, me and the strange book tales from my childhood. Yet another layer to this very strange channel. Okay, let's finish with lips. I'm gonna be a bad YouTuber and I'm not gonna use lip liner today because again, the whole point is just showing you the colors together. And I'm gonna use this perfection of a lipstick, Lisa Eldridge in Velvet Cinnabar. I've spoken about this before. I don't always need lip liner. It keeps my, it keeps my mouth from bleeding, like it keeps the lines from bleeding out, but I really don't need it. In the case of the Lisa Eldridge lipstick though, I actually think the lip liner helps a lot because the lip liner is longer lasting than the lipstick. So don't be like me and actually apply this with lip liner. Sorry, just checking for lipstick on my teeth. But this is the monochromatic red look, my all red proposal for Valentine's Day. I hope you like it. I do. Especially because I'm wearing this like velvet red headband from Lele Sadoui. Sadoui? I don't really know how to pronounce that name. Sadoui. I hope I'm saying that correctly. The other reason why I like this look so much is also because it doesn't really take that many products. So I think that's nice. So if you wanted to do this kind of quick, it's like, it's 2 eyeshadows, 1 eyeliner, mascara, blush, lipstick, boom. Red Valentine's. This is giving me like red velvet vibes, which incidentally is the material of my headband. But here is my all red proposal for Valentine's Day makeup. There you have it. Coming in with the sunlight so that you can see what the eyeshadow looks like in the sun. For finishing touches, if you wanted to add a tiny bit of highlighter, you could. I'm gonna add just a tiny drop of highlighter over here in the high points of the cheeks. And I am using the Becca Ignite highlighter in Passion, but see, it's a little stripy right now, so I need to use a different finger. You could also use the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light one in Spotlight for this if you want a more golden highlighter. This one, on me at least, it's a little bit more translucent, so I appreciate it for that reason. I do feel like sometimes you have to work a little bit fast with it. And again, it's a tiny bit. I am working with a tiny bit and just diffusing with my fingers, trying to, use the warmth of the fingers and the fact that it's not too much pressure to make sure that it just looks as glow from within as possible, not too stripy. See, pretty subdued highlighter. We're not going crazy here. If you want to go ham and add more because you want to be seen from space, you can, but you don't have to. I understand that Becca is like no longer available and this is probably not the most useful product for me to show you, but the point here is to show you kind of a more translucent, more subdued highlighter. But if you want to go ham and use a more golden one, you can. But I like myself a good highlighter moment. but I like it I like it when it looks glassy, not too terribly stripy. And then when I'm done here, I'm gonna use that same brush that I use with the powder, this one, and I'm just gonna run it on top of the highlighter as well. I haven't added any more product, just to diffuse those lines a tiny bit. There we go. For reference, it's this highlighter, if you find it in a discount store or something. Becca Ignite Liquid Highlighter in Passion. But I think Charlotte Tilbury Spotlight would be a great substitute for that one. There we go. Some highlighter. Oh, that's nice. That's really nice. It's not an intense amount of highlighter, in my opinion. And that's it. Here are just some ideas for some possible Valentine's Day looks with some pinks, some purples, some reds. We have a monochromatic one, we have 2 one and dones, and we have 2 slightly more elaborate looks using more eyeshadows, primarily from this beauty, the Natasha Denona Love palette. This is still available on the Natasha Denona website, and she is running a Valentine's Day sale right now. So you might want to check if the Love palette is within the sale. There are other products that definitely are, like the Mini Love palette and the Mini Crush palette, which have very similar shades to these ones, but in a smaller format. So worth checking out. I would go to natashadenona.com and see what's available. I know that the Love palette is still in stock. We also use this Blitz Astral Quad from Pat McGrath. I don't remember the exact name of it, but it's the one with these shades. And hopefully this gives you a few ideas, some inspiration, whether you have these palettes or not, just gives you some ideas on how to approach Valentine's Day makeup if you want to do something thematic, something with kind of the colors of the festivity, and just have fun with it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I hope that you subscribe so that you can join me again. I hope you have a wonderful day and a happy Valentine's Day. By the way, Valentine's Day, I know that it can be hard for some people, but Valentine's Day doesn't have to be a thing. You can express love for people every day. And if nobody has told you that you are loved, please know somebody loves you. Somebody wants you to be here. You are a wonderful creature. So I hope that you have a lovely day. Bye-bye.